is up, guys? It's your boy Kurt, coach of the Emerald and Nemeris, bringing you week 1 of the UNPL versus Trexo. So we got a really cool team, as gone over in the draft analysis. This week we're bringing a modest special Sceptile. I was debating between a Swords Dance offensive Sceptile, which could really do a number on this team, but he has a Corviknight, so if he does intend to bring it, that could be a problem. We have the standard Stealth Rock Treads with Spin, just to be really obnoxious. We got Booster Energy on the Gouging Fire, even though it's really meant to be end up forgetting to change it back to being Boots away from Booster Energy. So that's but we do have the defensive Dash Bun with Wish Protect, Terra Steel on my Dash Bun this week to try and help deal with the offensive fire types that didn't end up coming. So really not a great Terra this week, could have been better, but it does help deal with the Pecharunt if he does bring any sort of Malignant Chain shenanigans or Toxic. I can stop him from getting that. And then we have the Gloom. So Gloom is a really cool Toxic Strength Sap set. It's there to check the Meowscarada as well as checking the Iron Hands and potentially even the Comfave, because I do have the Toxic, so it cannot Calm Mind Draining Kiss spam me. So we're going to leave with the Gloom. We do have a Sticky Web Araquanid because, well, Webs versus team, really nice. His only removal was Terrapagos, so I felt pretty safe in bringing the Webs. I did have a lot of ways to stop the Terrapagos from removing them, but if he does remove them, that's not the end of the world. I can live with that. So we're going to lead off with Gloom here, and we're going to see what our opponent goes to lead off with, as he does lead off with the Meowscarada. A really good lead for me. This Pokemon cannot touch me. Even with Triple Axle, it does not kill. So I can pretty freely throw off a Toxic if he wants to stay in and click the attack button. So I'm just going to click the Toxic. I lose nothing by clicking Toxic. And we'll see what he wants to do, because he does have a lot of options with the Pecharunt to be a switch in. And that could be annoying. Definitely could be annoying, but it's not the end of the world to have the Pecharunt come in. So we do fire off the Toxic, and he does indeed go into Brittany the Pecharunt. So this turn here definitely sucked. I definitely could have done a lot better here in predicting that to come in. But we do just have average tread. The Iron Treads, he's just here to do a lot of damage. And hopefully switch in on the Malignant Chain, which is what I was thinking he would go for, as he just goes for the Shadow Ball. And immediately off that damage, I know that he specs Pecharunt, which definitely is a choice. I do have a Mandibuzz and a Regigigas as well on this draft, so I'm not 100% sure why specs was the option. But regardless, we are now basically going to have to sack the Treads. There's no reason for me to keep this thing if there's a switch in on anything anymore, and I can do a massive chunk of damage to this thing. And knowing that he specs, I feel like being able to just get the damage means that he won't be able to get the health back, seeing as he is a spec set. So he is just going to go for Shadow Ball again. He is just going to kill the Iron Tread. And he gets a crit for good measure. Not that he needed it, but that sums up what's happening here. So I am just going to go into the Araquanid, because I have no reason not to. I did think about going into my Gouging Fire, but I felt like it was too early. And I just didn't want to risk when he still has the Comfey in the back. But this was very tempting to go into Gouging Fire here. And just click Dragon Dance in its face, because I do have Dragon Dance Morning Sun, so I do actually semi-stall that thing out of its Shadow Balls. But we're going to go into Araquanid, and I'm going to bait the webs, hoping that he just attacks me here. I'm clicking the Mirror Coat. I was very close to clicking Liquidation here, and just doing 2 million damage to something that came in. he didn't really have a great resist because Meowscarada does not want to come in on this Pokemon. So we're just going to click the Mirror Coat as he's going to think about what he wants to do. I don't think he switches, but I also felt like he could very easily just click Shadow Ball versus my team. Seeing as I didn't bring my normal or my dark type, I wasn't expecting him to bring the Specs Pecharunt this week. I almost brought the Mandibuzz over the Sceptile. I felt like Mandy was really good, but he does just go into Terrapagos. So he is going to Terra Shift here, as I'm going to reveal the Mirror Coat. So that is unfortunate, but we do live any one hit from this thing. I have EV'd this. I did think about clicking Webs, thought about just going Dash Bun. I didn't really have a great switch into this Pokemon. Gloom was sort of my best answer to try and punish this thing. We get a little bit of frame lag there. Yeah, we go into Gloom, and Gloom is just going to be able to sit on this thing, as he does just go for the spin. I don't know why my frames are dropping so bad. They didn't drop while I was recording or playing the game. But anyway, we're just going to double back into Araquanid here. I feel like I lose nothing by going back into Araquanid to scout what this thing's going to go for. And get an idea, because we do know that he is Webs now. And I feel like he goes back into Pecharunt. So it's pretty safe to just go back into Araquanid here, as he does just go back into the Pecharunt. So we are now going to get the Araquanid in. And we're going to be able to click Liquidation for free. I have no qualms in just clicking Liquidation on this thing. There's no reason I should ever be fearing this thing. I know that I can live any 2 hits from this. Even Malignant Chain, as long as he doesn't get the Toxic, I can actually live 2 Malignant Chains and kill with a Mirror Coat. So clicking Liquidation, super safe. As I said earlier, Meowscarada does not want to switch in on this, especially because I can just Leech Life it and get my HP back. But regardless, we are just going to click Liquidation. And he brings Specs Recover, and this, I've never understood why you would bring Recover onto a Choice Specs set, but, you know, that's to each their own, I guess. Whatever you feel like. But that Liquidation does a decent chunk. I'm just going to click it again. We're going to burn this thing out of Recovers as best we can. Play with Fizdef drops, all that sort of stuff. Definitely a choice to be Specs Recover here. I'm not 100% sure on that one, as we do get the defense drop. And I'm just going to click Liquidation again. I just don't see the need to just not Liquidation. I lose nothing by clicking it again. As I said earlier, his switch-ins don't exactly want to come in onto a Liquidation. Terrapagos being the only half-decent switch. But I have revealed Mirror Coat on this, so he can't even click, you know, like Terra Starstorm, or he does risk sacking his Terrapagos. So this is a really tough spot for him to be in at this moment, because he doesn't have a switch into this. This thing is now a defense dropped Pecharunt, and there's just not a whole lot he can do to avoid that situation. So he's going to switch to Pecharunt, and he is going to go into the Iron Hands, and this just tells me immediately that he is Fizdef Iron Hands. Like, straight out the gate, I know that he is Fizdef Iron Hands because he switched it in on my Araquanid, and then he gets the Quark Drive defense boost. So we're not going to do a whole lot of damage here, but we're going to do a decent chunk, and I'm just going to go straight into Gloom. I lose nothing by going into Gloom and cannot touch me, knowing that he is Fizdef. So we're just going to... I'm just thinking about it, running calcs, you know, looking at what he could be, the minimum he would need, but either way, any investment that he had did not scare me because I knew he wasn't adamant. So we are just going to click the Sludge Bomb on the first turn. I lose nothing by clicking Sludge Bomb here. I lose nothing by clicking Strength Sap either. But I can Sludge Bomb pretty safely and potentially get a poison onto this thing. So we are just going to go for the Sludge Bomb and scout what this thing wants to do, knowing that he has a Swords Dance set. I still wasn't very scared of this thing, as I did have my special Sceptile in the back that could just click Leaf Storm and get the fuck out. So That was really, really nice. And hopefully, I was hoping the Gouging Fire could come in and sort of clean up this team if I could get the right situation off. As he is just going to click SD again, so unfortunate no poison, which does suck. But I'm just going to click the Strength Sap, take this thing down to +3 attack instead. I don't really lose anything by clicking the Strength Sap. This Pokemon does not scare me with no attack investment. I'm now back to full. I am a Fizzdeath Gloom, as it does just reveal the Earthquake, and it barely does over half to Gloom. So this thing just sitting here is absolutely amazing. So we're just gonna Strength Sap again, and I'm just gonna go back all the way to full, take this down to +2 again. And Gloom just really does not care about this Iron Hands. This Iron Hands is set up all at once. I will just Strength Sap it all the way down. I'm just gonna fire off a Toxic, hoping that he stays in to try and Swords Dance on me again, but he does switch, which is a shame. And he goes back into the Pecharunt. So this is really annoying because he just keeps switching in this Pecharunt that for some reason with show specs against me again. I'm just a little confused by it. Doesn't make sense into the Mandibuzz Regigigas team. The only mon that would really beat is like a non-AV Iron Treads, which I was almost AV Iron Treads in the team builder, so it's a shame, but what can you do? I just don't really know what to switch in on this thing. I think my only play is to go into the Araquanid and hope that he doesn't Malignant, basically. This is after I Strength Sap. I'm just doing a scout to see what he's going to click. As we are going to Strength Sap, it's going to take us a long way down on HP. We're going to Strength Sap and we're going to get that HP back, because it does still have a semi-decent attack stat, regardless of it being a special invested Pecharunt this week. So knowing that he's going for Shadow Ball, I can safely go into my Araquanid. I lose nothing by going to Araquanid. So we're just going to get in Araquanid. Again, I'm not going to click Webs because Terrapagos is still alive, still at full HP, still has the Terra Shell. So he is just going to go for the Shadow Ball himself and do not even half to my Araquanid. So Araquanid just absolutely chewing hits. I love this mon, it's so specially defensive. And I'm just going to go for the Leech Life just in case he decides he wants to switch, because he should never stay in knowing that my Liquidation is going to hurt and that I have Mirror Coat, and Mirror Coat will just kill this thing from here. So he's got to be very careful with how he handles this Araquanid. This Araquanid is definitely a problem for him. And if I can Leech Life the right Pokemon, this thing can just do a whole lot of damage. So we are going to go for the Leech Life, as he is going to go back out into the into the Iron Hand, sorry, not Terrapagos. So we are going to get out in front of the Iron Hands and get a little bit of HP back. Nothing crazy. Just a little bit of HP at the end of the day, but the leftovers recovery helping as well, getting to that a little bit more. Means we can handle Pecharunt a little bit better down the line. And I am just going to go out into the Sceptile, because he's obviously going to have to click Swords Dance on this, or Earthquake, or Thunder Punch. Either way, I am not really scared of what this thing wants to do. Both of its moves that it wants to click on Araquanid, I resist. And if he clicks SD, I can just click Leaf Storm and get the fuck out. So we're going to go into the Sceptile here, as he is just going to fire off the switch here, actually. Sorry, I forgot which turn I was on. I thought he was attacking later. But no, he goes into the Pecharunt. And this here, I almost just clicked the Terra button because I was Terra Dragon. I almost Terra Dragon Pulsed, because I feel like if I did that from this range, I just kill this Pecharunt. So again, I'm not sure why that was ever the choice, personally, but that's just me. That's just how I'm viewing this. And we are just going to go for the Leaf Storm. We're going to get the Eject Pack back out. Get away from this Pecharunt. Saving my Sceptile. Being able to get it down to low HP. I can go into Araquanid here and potentially just click the Liquidation button. I could have gone into Gouging Fire, but there was no point. So we're going to go into Araquanid because I feel like he goes for Malignant Chain, and again, I can live those hits. As he does go for the Malignant, and barely puts me below, barely puts me into range, but with the leftovers, I think I go back out of range of the Malignant. And I'm just going to fire off. I thought about clicking Sticky Web. I'm just going to fire off the Mirror Coat though, just in case he decides he wants to attack again. Because this still does a whole lot of damage to me and could put me on a timer. I don't really see the need for his Pecharunt in the end game at this moment, so I don't know why he would save it here, so I'm just going to Mirror Coat thinking he's going to attack. As we just wait for him to think once again. Definitely a lot of thinking on the other side. Wasting a lot of time here on his timer with a lot of these long thinking moves. So thankfully we have plenty of time, but definitely wasting a lot here. He does a switch, which was definitely an interesting choice, because if I just click Liquidation once again, then he was practically sacking his Iron Hands at this point. Because I was EV'd to outspeed a no-speed Iron Hands. Just getting a little bit more HP back, and we are going to switch out into the Dash Bun here this time, because Dash Bun can actually get me a little bit of momentum with Play Rough, Wish, Protect. It can heal up this Araquanid. It can just do a lot for me, and I really like that that's what I can get out of this. But I can also Wish into my Gloom, so I can do that as well, is to just heal up Gloom again, put it back to full to help check the Meowscarada and the Garchomp, because that's what Gloom does here. It just checks Garchomp, it checks Gloom. He'd have to be like Sword Stance, Fire Fang, Garchomp to even remotely threaten me, and then my Strength Stat will just make it so that I can stall out his Fire Fangs, really. And his Sword Stances, as well as getting a Toxic off pretty safely while he clicks Sword Stance one turn. So he is going to double with the Iron Hands as I've gone into Dash Bun. As he does go into the Meowscarada, probably hoping to bait in my Gloom, I would assume, but definitely not what he was expecting. I'm just going to go for the Protect Scout and see what this Meowscarada wants to go for. And he's just going to start Hazard Stacking me here, and I definitely think this is a little bit late in the game to be worrying about Hazard Stack, but, you know, I guess that's definitely a play. Especially if he was lead Hazards, he definitely could have just clicked Hazards turn 1 with zero hesitation in the world. Especially against my Gloom. Like, he could have just set up all of these spikes, and this game would have been a lot easier for him to deal with. He definitely wouldn't have had as much of an issue with me switching in my Araquanid the entire time, so I'm not sure 100% on that, but I'm just going to go into the Gloom to cover the Toxic Spikes. That was always my play, is to just cover the Toxic Spikes with the Gloom and get it back to full HP to help check this thing. And potentially click the Sludge Bomb or the Toxic and try and catch something as it pivots in. Like hopefully the Garchomp, but he could also just go back into the Pecharunt, which is annoying because definitely could have been a lot easier to deal with here. If I was Boots on my Gouging Fire like I wanted to be, which really sucked. I wanted to be Boots Gouging Fire, but unfortunately the game just had different options. I was using my in-game Court Gouging Fire to originally use Gouging Fire, so I must have just forgot to change the item when I was building the set in-game. But regardless, we're going to go for the Sludge Bomb onto the Meowscarada, and we're not going to do a whole lot of damage because he is Poison type. It does tell me what he wanted to go for, though. He was just adamant on getting his hazards up, which I'm not so sure on, but it's definitely an option here. As I am just going to go for... I thought about clicking Toxic, I thought about clicking Strike Sap, but I'm just going to click the Giga Drain to try and get myself back to full HP. As he is adamant on getting these Toxic Spikes up, again, I'm not sure why when he doesn't know anything about my Gouging Fire. The only thing that would affect is my Dash Bun and Araquanid at the moment as the most relevant things. Sceptile, we know that it's not Boots, but Sceptile is not here to hang around for a long time. It's here to just sort of click a button and do a whole lot of damage, is what I want to do with this thing. So I did think about going into the dash run, but with the toxic spikes, I didn't want this thing to be toxic and then trying to wish stall its way back up. So my only play really is to go into the Sceptile. I don't really have much other option. And I can fire off a free Dragon Pulse though, because he's never going to go into Confei on my potential Leaf Storm or Giga Drain. So he switches out the Meowscarada and goes into the Pecharunt, as I actually do get the Sceptile in front of it again. So this time I'm just going to fire off a Dragon Pulse. I'm not going to risk anything. There's no point in me trying to make over predictions. If he wants to stay in and kill this thing, then that's definitely an option that he has. But if he switches, I then get a lot of damage on anything that isn't Confei. So it can break the Terra Shell from the Terrapagos and the like. So we're just gonna Dragon Pulse, not think anything else about it. And we're going to try and kill this Pecharunt, because this thing is just obnoxious, just sitting here. He's playing it very passively if he's not attacking with it, and just using it as a defensive switch-in, even though he is Specs, which again, I'm not sure why you would make it your passive switch-in if it's going to be Specs here. If it's going to be a switch-in to a lot of my Pokemon, I feel like defensive was just better versus me, I guess. It just makes more sense in this matchup to be like a defensive Toxic set or a defensive Nasty Plot with Malignant Chain to try and clean up. But regardless, we're just going to Dragon Pulse into the Terrapagos that he does switch into. Not do a whole lot because, again, he is the Terra Shell, which is a really stupid ability. And then we're just going to click the Focus Blast. I could just go for Leaf Storm, but Focus Blast just does more damage. And puts it in range of Gouging Fire, just picking it off. So that was definitely my only real option. And my only other option was to sort of try and click a Dragon Dance. We're gonna Focus Blast, and we are gonna do a whole lot of damage to this thing. As he's just gonna Terra Starstorm. And that is really, really obnoxious. It does suck because that thing does so much damage for no reason with that move. And I'm just gonna go into Gloom. I need to get rid of these Toxic Spikes. These Toxic Spikes are really annoying me. And Gloom has sort of done its job now. It's kind of just sat in front of a lot of Pokemon. And I'm really, really glad that I went with Gloom on this matchup at least. I almost had Mandy over it as well, but I needed Gloom to check the Iron Hands a bit better than Mandy can. Because Mandy cannot beat the Quark Drive Iron Hands if it does decide to do that. As I am just now going to... I thought about switching hard into my Gouging Fire. It does a whole lot of damage. I'm meant to be Boots here so I could take the Spikes and then come in. But unfortunately, I'm just going to have to take the Spikes and come in. Which also then means I'm not going to be able to outspeed the Garchomp. Which sucks because I really wanted this Gouging Fire to just clean up the game here. Which it really could have. Maybe if I had have just sacked the Gloom here, it would have been a different story. But regardless, this was the play I made. I wanted to keep the Gloom to try and help check things. Yeah, sacking the Gloom on hindsight was my play, but you live and you learn. We'll make it better in week 2. I'm just going to go for the Morning Sun in case he wants to like switch and save this Terrapagos, which I don't think he will. But I want to try and catch the Morning Sun to just at least try and give me a chance at this. As he's just going to go for the Terra Starstorm. I could PP Stall this out of Terra Starstorm. That is definitely an option. As much as I don't want to do that, it is probably one of my only options, but I am not going to do it. I just don't feel like sitting there for 8 turns clicking Morning Sun in front of this thing, in case he does get the switch turn right. As he does reveal he has Earth Power as well, so it really didn't matter. He had multiple ways to hit me and outlive my recovery. So it's a shame. I was hoping I was booster speed, but I was booster attack. Because again, I was meant to be Boots to switch in onto the Spikes. And maybe I could have done a little bit more, but either way, we killed the Terrapagos. So we get one with Gouging Fire at least. Gouging Fire makes its debut and gets one Pokemon for its troubles. And now we're just kind of sitting here and hoping for the best that he doesn't go Garchomp and goes into Pecharunt to get greedy for more kills, but obviously Trexo is a bit better than that, and we'll definitely go into Garchomp here. I don't know why it's taken him so long to think about just click the Garchomp button. He knows that I don't outspeed his Garchomp. He should kill me from here. This is a very easy decision to go into Chomp. My Gadgeon player can't do anything, but he does actually go into the Meowscarada. And I thought, well, this thing doesn't scare me much. I'm just going to click the Morning Sun. If he wants to click like Knock or something, he can't kill me. If he wants to click like Flower Trick, he can't kill me. I know he's dual spikes, but he reveals Low Kick, so this is definitely another interesting move choice in the matchup. He was definitely very scared of my Iron Treads, apparently. That like a lot of his prep was to deal with Iron Treads, which I'm not so sure that that was the biggest threat on my team, but it's definitely an option. But I am just going to go into Dash Bun here. Now that I know he is a fighting type, I can fire off a free Play Rough. I lose nothing by clicking Play Rough, but I'm just going to Wish first. I'm going to get my Wish up. And I'm going to have Terra Steel on my Dash Bun if he decides to go into Pecharunt. Because if he goes Pecharunt, I can Terra Steel into the Play Rough, or I can Terra Steel, Protect, and Scout. Either way, I can then also click Wish. I can Protect, Scout, and then Terra Steel on the Wish to then get Araquanid in, or get Gloom in, or something like that. So I got a lot of options here on what I can do. So he is going to go into the Pecharunt as I fire up the Wish. And if he wants to go for Recover here, I am pretty safe to just click Wish again. But he should just go for the Malignant Chain to try and kill this thing. Personally, that is what I would do anyway. I'm going to just fire off the Protect though and scout what this thing wants to do. And if he wants to go into Iron Hands or he wants to click Recover, I'm pretty safe to just to click Wish again. As I go for the Protect, scout for the Malignant Chain. Hope that he goes for it. He goes for the Recover, which is, again, a choice in this situation. I'm not so sure that was the right one. But I am just going to throw up another Wish, and if he wants to go into Iron Hands, I can just abuse that fact. This Dash Bun is really rather important to getting in the Araquanid at more HP than what it was. It's kind of my entire point. Because he's just going to switch the Pecharunt, he's not going to sit there and burn Recovers to try and get back to full. He does go into the Iron Hands, and I know that I can kill this thing from here with Play Rough. So this is not a problem at all. I'm just going to click Play Rough on this thing. It can't Swords Dance. He might Swords Dance though. If he does live, then I still get the Wish recovery damage if he wants to attack, and if he decides to Swords Dance on my Scout for Protect, then I lose nothing by clicking Play Rough. So we do fire off the Play Rough here, as he does just go for the Swords Dance. So that's really nice for me. I'm just going to Play Rough again and kill this Iron Hands. So sacking the Iron Hands to the Dash Bun, probably over-predicting me to click Protect, but that's what I've done the last 3 turns. So we didn't need the Wish recovery, thankfully. So that's really nice. And if he wants to go into the Pecharunt, I will just Terra Steel and click the Wish. Because if he decides to Shadow Ball, then I can still cover that. So I'm just going to Terra Steel Wish, and if he clicks Malignant Chain, I can go hard into Araquanid as a potential play if I feel like he doesn't want to go for that. And if he wants to Shadow Ball, then I'm forced to sort of stay in here. I'm kind of hoping he goes for the Malignant Chain, because that is the best way to kill this Dash Bun. I don't really have a switch into Malignant Chain, so it's super safe for him to click. He should never click Shadow Ball when Malignant Chain just kind of kills me. But he just does go for the Shadow Ball, and it was definitely an option for him to do that. Not much I could do about it though. as I go for Protect, and this is basically going to be the end of the game, is me just trying to get around this Petra run. This Petra run's just going to kill everything. So I'm just going to speed up the battle a little bit, and then I will see you guys at the end for an outro. So with that, we are finished with the battle, and GG's to Trexa. Again, I'm not so sure I would have brought the Specs Petra run against the team with Mandibuzz's Regigigas, but he brought it, it worked for him. Good luck to him in week 2, and I will see you guys in week 2 when I take on Golden Guy. Peace.